And it's 10 a.m. here in Lagos. Good morning and welcome to Business Morning. I'm Ladi Williams.
Good morning. I'm Ini John McQuarrie. You're welcome to the show. Well, let's give you a little bit of news now. The federal government says it will launch the 2021 to 2025 medium-term National Development Plan by October this year. This was during a briefing where the Minister of State for Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mr. Clem Agba, said that the 5-year plan, which is aimed at lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty and ensuring economic stability, is currently being reviewed by several stakeholders before getting to the national and then the Federal Executive Council for approval. It explains that the medium-term development agenda plan would involve the organized private sector, civil society organizations, women and youth, as well as people with special needs, and also put in place strategies to tackle the country's growing population. Well, we do not just want to take this as a news piece, so we want to talk a little bit about this. What would make this economic plan different from others that the country has heard about, and what will make it effective compared to the previous ones? Well, we have Mr. Didi joining us now to share his thoughts on what should be prioritized in this. Good morning, Mr. Abel.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So just what considerations should the federal government give to this plan to make it more effective and, not just another plan that we talk about?
Okay, thanks. Like you said, so that it doesn't look like just another plan, because when you look at, we have the ESG plan, that's the Economic Sustainability Plan, how much of that has been implemented. So I think the focus now should be what would be the framework for implementation, which is critical, and there should be milestones, and we can see the achievement. So for instance, if we are focusing on the agriculture sector, which I know would also be priority because we need that in terms of being self-sufficient to bring down inflation on food prices, as well as reduce demand for efforts for importing food items. We need to be able to track what, in terms of the production, how do we want to add value? So there needs to be a more robust framework that it will be easier to implement, and potential investors across that sector can look at the value chain and pick and know what are those incentives that are attached to this, and what would be the major that will give most of these potential investors more consideration to invest here in Nigeria. Because we shouldn't always forget, we are competing with other countries, especially our neighboring countries, and when we are going to site your factory, you are going to site production factory, people look at a lot of other factors. And we are hoping that the issue of insecurity, because it's going to be a major drag, no matter how beautiful the policy is, insecurity has to be taken care of for us to attract investment, or even apart from attracting investment, for us to be able to grow this economy.
All right, Mr. Abel, but after the launch, how long should Nigerians expect to wait before we feel the impact in the economy?
I think if it's properly, there's a major framework for implementation, I think we should begin to see traction even from year 1 to 2. So it may not be very significant at initial, but we should be able to look at it like, if it's the production of rice, for instance, we should be able to see that data that says the metric ton that we're having now has improved from 2 million metric tons to 3 million to 4 million. We can see that traction. Because if you look back, look at the cement industry before we became self-sufficient, we were keeping track of the record, maybe because private sectors were involved. And now there needs to be more collaboration with the private sector. And we believe that if it is actually implemented, and one thing I would like to state that it should also be the focus is localization. A lot of the items, so most times you see budget OPEX, if government spends a lot of that recurrent expenditure in buying local items, if you imagine government buying local cars, even if it's assembled, that is going to boost that sector. School uniform, if they are supplying and they are buying local products, will help the cotton industry, will help the sewing industry, and there will be more higher multiplier effect of that funding that government is setting aside for its budget.
All right, Mr. Ebo, we'll keep tracking this plan. Thank you so much for your time on Business Morning.
Always my pleasure.
All right, now to other stories. Nestle Nigeria PLC has launched a project to empower rural women in Nigeria. According to officials of the General Household Consumer Company, the project aims to enable the women scale up their retail businesses through training, mentorship, and grants in the form of Nestle products. Speaking at the launch of the project in Abuja, Nestle Nigeria's commercial manager, Mr. Khalid Ramadan, explains that the Nestle Empowering Rural Women in Nigeria will make a significant contribution to the well-being of 50 retailers in the first phase. Do take a listen.
It is all songs of joy for these women retailers who are in the dealership of Nestle products in the Federal Capital Territory, as Nestle Nigeria PLC, makers of household consumables, continue to broaden the horizon of their agents.
You buy for market.
First, the women are trained on how to succeed in their business.
What this one mean say, you see some market, you go make better profits.
In the first phase of the project, titled Nestle Empowering Rural Women in Nigeria, the company will provide 3 times the monthly turnover of each of the 50 female retailers in the form of Nestle products.
The vision behind this is to empower women that they are driving a business in their local communities, mainly targeting the rural areas. We're looking behind this to drive an opportunity for the women to further scale up their business by providing them an average of 300% of product comparing to their monthly average of sales, where they can use the return of this to invest it in growing their businesses and then support their families.
Our intention is to help to improve the livelihoods of these women through training and through grants in form of Nestle products, which is over 3 times the value that they actually buy from us every month.
The Nestle Empowering Rural Women in Nigeria is designed to help the selected retailers to scale up 3 times more than the size of their existing businesses.
They promised to give us some goods that will sell and we'll pay them 20% back, which will help us in our business. It will help a lot to grow our business, so I'm so happy for that.
It's a surprise to me. It's what I did not expect from them. But I'm grateful. I believe I'll use it well, and I'm going to refund what they're asking me to refund to them.
There are also plans for other women across the country.
We're looking to reach another number of mainly 300 plus of retailers, not only in Abuja, across the country, and this is something we are today discussing with our stakeholders around.
In addition, the retailers will be linked to one-on-one mentors for additional guidance and consistent support to ensure their success.
Yeah, welcome back. Well, oil prices rose today after the United States drug regulator granted full approval to the Pfizer-BioNTech SC COVID-19 vaccine, stoking investors' hope that higher fuel demand will follow a potential step in the U.S. coronavirus vaccination rate. Health officials hope the action will convince unvaccinated Americans that the shot is safe and effective, and expect it could also prompt more state and local governments as well as private employers to impose vaccine mandate. Brent crude oil futures gained 66 cents to $69.41 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures increased by 60 cents to $66.24 a barrel. Both benchmarks jumped more than 5% yesterday, helped by a weaker U.S. dollar after marking their biggest week of losses in more than 9 months last week. Well, we have Damilola Kimbami here now to help us understand the impacts, the overflowing impact of this, both in other countries and in Nigeria. So good to have you, Damilola.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so, well, great news there from the United States giving approval to BioNTech and all that. And it should all obviously have a spillover, especially at this time when we see a lot of countries reintroducing restrictions and partial lockdowns in many cases because of the Delta variant.
Yes, I agree with you that with the FDA's approval of Pfizer to be used for children 16 years and above, so at least that should encourage those that are still skeptical about accepting or collecting this vaccine that, look, now that it's even been approved for children, so it's safe. And one major thing or solution to addressing this COVID pandemic is increasing the vaccination rate. For instance, the IMF, in conjunction with the World Bank and the WHO, they've said that by 2025, that we could lose about $4.5 trillion worth of GDP, global GDP, due to the various variants of the COVID infection. And we're seeing that, and they also they have a plan to vaccinate about 40% of the population of each country by the end of this year and 60% by next year. But look at Nigeria now. We are barely up to 1% of our population. We know that at least we've received the Moderna vaccine, we've received more doses of the AstraZeneca, so that should help with the vaccination process in Nigeria and probably boost, increase it to 2%. But 2% of a population of over 200 million, we barely scratched the surface. Right. And the COVID, that threat is the most potent threat right now to the global economic recovery prospects. It's affecting both business and consumer sentiment. Take, for instance, now the UK Purchasing Managers Index dropped sharply as a result of staff and supply shortages. Their consumer confidence sentiment also declined because of COVID. And a lot of countries, like you rightly said, are beginning to impose travel restrictions and other forms of COVID restrictions. For instance, China, which is the largest oil importer globally, impose restrictions which are affecting both global shipping and supply chain levels. And because China is a major economic powerhouse and is a major trading partner, so imagine if they, because of the restrictions, they can't ship or supply. Definitely it's going to lead to shortages. And once there are shortages, it will definitely affect prices. And right now,
which is what has been happening anyway.
Yes, yes. And we know that, okay, fine, in July, the inflation, the consumer price inflation for the UK, it fell to about 2%. In China's zone also fell. US was flat, about 4.5%. But that's the consumer price inflation that we saw slow down in July. But the producer price inflation of China increased to 9%. And why I'm mentioning that, because we just talked about supply shortages as a result of these COVID restrictions. And usually it starts from there, because the producer is recording an increase in his cost of raw materials and goods and whatnot. His own price, producer price inflation is increasing. And if they can't accommodate that price increase, they will pass it on to consumers, and then you would see that CPI, which has been declined, start to increase. And for Nigeria, that is highly import dependent, yes, we've been recording a decline in our inflation in the past 4 months, but we have a high import content. So definitely that
imported inflation. That's
imported inflation. Yes.
Do we expect this move at the United States to affect China? Because these are the two major countries affecting, pushing the price. Do we expect a direct spillover?
Yes. So China too, because of COVID, the reintroduction of the virus in certain parts of the city is imposing its lockdown. So definitely what we're going to see is a ramp up, and that's what a lot of countries are doing. They're increasing the vaccination rate. So now that Pfizer has been approved, we might see other vaccines, whether it's Moderna or AstraZeneca, being approved also for use by children. But the thing is, the more people are vaccinated, that would definitely increase herd immunity and be able to protect people from new variants, because a lot of variants are coming up, and predominantly among the unvaccinated population. And that doesn't mean that if you are fully vaccinated, you're not still susceptible to the virus. It just reduces the chances. And also, even if you someone that has been fully vaccinated gets infected again, the symptoms may not be as significant or as severe as someone that is not vaccinated.
Anyway, metals, commodities like metals have been weak for a while now, so has oil.
Yes.
Is this from a trading angle now? Do you think this is a good time to start taking positions, at least now with this US prospect for the vaccine? Is it time from a trading angle?
So from a trading angle, so what is happening now has affected commodities in different ways. And so, for instance, precious metals have been the major beneficiaries of this uncertainty, because in a time of uncertainty, safe haven assets tend to thrive. So the likes of gold, the likes of silver. And for instance, now oil has been severely affected because COVID has affected fuel demand, because if there are travel restrictions, jet fuel, which is also gotten from crude, obviously fuel demand will be affected. And that's why we've seen in the past couple of weeks, we've seen that oil prices have been really volatile. Brent fell to as low as $65, $66 in the last 1 week, all because of these concerns that the rising COVID infection rates may affect the global recovery prospect. The recent recovery that we saw in the last 24 hours was because of a weaker dollar and a stronger US equities market. But again, that right now, because the market is so sensitive, and because volatile. Yes, and it's very volatile, and because again, more countries are getting this infection, more countries are getting this new variant. So that definitely has dampened sentiment for a lot of commodities. And commodities are very prone, or they're highly elastic. Definitely would have seen that impact on their prices. So precious metals, definitely, for instance, gold, like I mentioned earlier. And the fact that right now it's unlikely for a lot of global economies to tinker with their interest rates, at least for the rest of this year. So there's a positive relationship between higher interest rates and the dollar. So if interest rates are still kept low, so the dollar would see continue to trade around this level. So we'll continue to see that shift towards precious metals such as gold. Yes.
Okay, so last week there was the sharing of FAC, the Federation allocation, and we saw an increase in the figure, about 4%. What drove that?
So one, in the month, and bear in mind that the fact that was approved that will be disbursed in August was based on July's revenue. And if you look at what happened in July, all prices were higher. Average was about $75 compared to about $73 in June. If you also look at oil production, Nigeria's production levels increased to about 1.44 million barrels per day, according to OPEC's monthly report, compared to about 1.43 million barrels in June. So definitely the increase is not that significant, but that impacted on oil proceeds. So oil proceeds contributed to the increase. Also, exchange rate gains have also impacted positively on FAC. And bear in mind that during all this, NNPC is still deducting from its monthly remittance to the allocation. And bear in mind that that's a major, NNPC major, or the NNPC funds a major contribution to FAC allocation. So imagine if the subsidy issue is addressed now,
we go back to the subsidy issue.
And NNPC can start to remit fully, coupled with Nigeria increasing its production levels, we could see FAC increase to about 800 billion naira in a month.
Yeah, but when we talk about that, it's also important that we also look at the other side.
Oh, yes.
Because when you remove subsidy, then you also have the other effects on the economy, on the people, on inflation, on costs.
Yes.
You know, so it's not
and that's why up to now we still have the price of fuel still fixed at 162, 165 naira per litre, because the government has said that until it finalizes negotiations with Labour, we're not going to see any price increase, because they know the significance of removing subsidies. Energy costs are definitely going to increase. So this declining trend we've been seeing in inflation could reverse. And bear in mind that in July, despite the fact that headline declined, food inflation declined, core inflation, which is headline less seasonality, such as energy, increased. And we still have a flat petrol price. What if also electricity tariffs are addressed too? So we could see that shift in the inflation trend.
What's happening with domestic commodity or market right now? What's happening there?
Yes, so right now we've seen some commodities, we've seen them record a price decline, so tomatoes, yam, even gari. And as the harvest season commences, definitely that would have a positive impact because supply would increase, so we should see more commodities record and price decline. But then again, because like I said earlier, Nigeria has a high import content. So, and for instance, now we know that the CBN said that it spent almost about $1 billion on food imports just in the first 6 months of the year. So because of that high import content, because of the exchange rate adjustment, so that's going to continue to play on imported commodities. And that's why you see that some commodities will continue to record, or will continue to record sticky prices.
Just before, it seems are we counting the gains of the CBN's intervention in the FX management? It seems that we're talking about gains now.
Oh, well, the CBN has done a lot of things, basically just to address this Forex issue.
Yes.
So we're having about 43 items now on the restriction list, limiting Forex to certain companies.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that because the local capacity is not there yet, it's still suboptimal. So in the short term, we may not necessarily be seeing those gains now because demand is still there and you've restricted supply. So definitely prices will still remain elevated. But as you build capacity and you increase the supply to the market, you can meet the local demand. Then we start to see that
still
play
back
out.
to, you know, the normal thing of we need to produce more
We
so that we can have more.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
we cannot just depend
more.
on what is in circulation and expect to see a lot of change.
And also in terms of Forex supply, we know that the CBN said I increased supply to the banks by about 200%. That coupled with adjusting the price, definitely, and if you send the right signals to the market, because what is driving the market weakness, especially the power market, is uncertainty and speculative trading. Once there is clarity, you would start to see that
all right.
movement.
Thank you so much, Damilola Kimbami, Head Research at Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you.
For
Thank you
giving
for
us
having
insights into the issues in the commodity market. So I will take a break now. When we come back, the federal government has indicated that there will be unbundling in the railway sector. How will that work? Join us after the break to find out.
Welcome back. Now to our next conversation. President Muhammadu Buhari set up a presidential committee to unbundle the Nigerian Railway Corporation, and this is more efforts to modernize the Nigerian railway system. The committee has the mandate to study and make recommendations for the unbundling of NRC into 4 separate companies, namely operations, infrastructure management, regulations, and marketing. How will this work and what are the expected impacts? We have Fidelis Oheria, the Managing Director of Nigerian Railway Corporation, joining us now for the conversation. Great to have you, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nigerians, and good morning to you.
So with this proposed unbundling, what will railway services look like moving forward?
I just encourage the private sector to come in, and so that you remove the monopoly of government in operation, at the same time providing the guiding principle and laws. So by so doing, we are trying to see if we can have private sector, if it's in operation, they can buy in and provide rolling stock and operate. And we have the regulator, so that will be impartial, unlike what we have in the Nigerian Railway Corporation, an operator, at the same time the regulator. So we are just trying to isolate the two functions so that they will be independent. So, however, the committee is to study and will come out with the best, and that will favor the country and the people. It's not cast in stone yet.
So do we have a time frame for the committee to work with? Anytime we're expecting them to come and anytime we're seeing this unbundling actually begin?
The term of bundling, because when you talk about unbundling, is you want to have an infrastructure company that will be like you have Ministry of Works, so also you have a government company that will be taking care of the rail infrastructure, the track, the station, and you have various operators coming in, bringing their rolling stock and operate based on good signaling that will be part of the infrastructure. We can have various companies operating on the same line based on schedule, while you have the regulator that will ensure that the lives of Nigeria are not at stake. The tracks are quite good to run. The rolling stock they are bringing are fit to use so that incident and accident will be reduced. Then you have what we just say marketing, just marketing. You know, the rail corridor and the rail station have a lot of advert space, so that the company is not advertised for the marketing. It's to maximize and optimize the space and the benefits that is available by the large space of the track, the length of track, the space of the station, and the corridor.
All right.
Exactly the way it's going to be looked at.
Okay. So the Minister of Transportation hinted that the corporation will be bundled into one that owns the assets, maintenance and running of the railway services. What's the plan for personnel here?
Come again?
I said the Minister of Transportation hinted that the corporation will be unbundled into, different, you have the assets, one will own the assets, you have the maintenance and running, the rail services. So I'm wondering what the plan for personnel would be like.
You see, when you're unbundled and based on the job function and structure, the different cadre of staff will also be categorized and be part of the committee's work. So it's not what you just say, but it's going to increase the number of people that will be engaged, because for the track to be fit and ready to use all the time, you have to have both technology and men in place. When you have now competition in operation, various private company, you see, when I say company, a state could be taken as company to operate a train. A Lagos state, like Lagos state, local government can operate a train as is done in the developed world. So it's not just that Mr. Fide Tokuri and Son alone. So that's why we encourage the states. You can run within your state. You can run interstate, and we bring. Who say we cannot run in every 5 minutes in every 1 hour, or every 10 minutes have train or track. So you see the volume and the peace people will have when you have the service readily available. So it's going to create a lot of job opportunity and employment.
All right. This is not the first time that there's been an effort to unbundle the rail sector. So what's different about it this time? What's the assurance that this time we're going to see results?
You see, it's just the will and the... this is not the first time we have talked about rail modernization. But you see today we have rail modernization. Already there is some 34 years old is coming running. Abuja Kaduna is running. Lagos Ibadan is running. And we are talking about that construction. So if the leaders are willing and they have this thing that you think was not possible will be possible, as far as favorable to the country, and Nigeria will benefit. I believe that the minister is serious about it, and the president is serious about it. In short, the government is serious about making railway work, so that it will not be one-off thing, because the continuous investment is not, transportation, not just rail. You just have to be renewing air, roads. If you buy one bus and leave it for 10 years and not having a replacement plan, it will go down, definitely. So the structure has to be properly arranged and put in place so that continuity and sustainability can go.
All right.
So I think they have the will and they have the courage to make it work.
Yes, it'd be great to see it work this time. So recently there have been talks on, threats to security on the rails amidst breakdowns. What is the arrangement here for security? I said the Nigerian Railway Corporation primary function is to provide rail service. And you have the other group that provides security, not just for rail users and rail operators, for the entire nation. We are collaborating with them to ensure that the passengers and the users of the rail and the infrastructure that government has put in place are secured. By so doing, we have a full command of the railway of Nigerian police. We have a commissioner, full-fledged, that covers the entire railway like a state. We also have the commandant of Nigerian Civil Defense Corps. And we are collaborating with Air Force and the Army. And there is a meeting that's being organized by the
I think the office of the DMI and we are involved to ensure that the infrastructure and operation that we do on the track. It's quite unfortunate that Nigerians turned onto rail to start vandalizing it. And it got to its peak during the lockdown, while trains were not being run. And when things have been said that the reconstruction of this line is to be carried out, people just descended on the track. But at least as we speak, about 40 people have been given various sentences in the courts. But what we are appealing for is that they should try and use the maximum, 27 years yet time, because this, and we are also appealing to the security that they should charge them appropriately instead of just say theft. Because when you remove a clip on the track, it can lead to serious accidents and lead to casualty and fatality, and people would, there will be loss of life, and you don't know who. It could be my brother, it could be your brother, it could be your father, because you don't know who has been on the train. Imagine Kaduna Abuja carrying over 1,000 people on board at a time, and you remove rail, and unfortunately the train just come in and run into it. That would be a disaster. So what is costing us more money now to protect the track, because we have to patrol. We have to send what we call a rail bus to patrol the track before we send any train, and it's costing that turnaround of the service. So we use the opportunity to appeal to Nigerians to keep our own, because the rail and the government is building our own. It's not for any particular individual. It's for our peace. It's for our, so that the commerce and industry can grow and create employment. So it's not just be left to railway men alone. Nigerians, whether you work in rail or you are a security officer, when you see somebody going with rail item, you should please report. Thank you.
All right, so this modernization of the rail obviously has resuscitated some sectors or some rails or some lines that were not active before now. What would you say has been the economic impact, you know, so far?
You see, it is what I say now. When you look, you see it. What I said, I mark it not just by talking from the mouth. If you go to Rigasa, you see development coming up. You see people building warehouses, building factories, because they are sure that when they manufacture, they have means of moving them. Because when you manufacture and you move them at a high cost, the purchasing power of Nigerians cannot afford it. So the sales you have will go down, and the output from the factory will also go down. But when you can move it seamlessly, cheap, competitive at the market rate, then you have a lot of people able to afford it. So the industry will grow, and the economy and commerce of the nation will grow. So apart from the direct employment that we had when we opened Itakbe and Abuja Kaduna, and we're also planning to engage some people for the Lagos Ibadan. So that's a lot of benefit. And you see, in every rail station, you see commerce springing up. Banks and various other things will come up there. You have shops, because when you travel, you can just go around the shop and pick things and enter the train, just like the airport. So those are things, the benefits that can immediately be accrued from having a working rail system. And the raw materials to the factory will be moved at a cheaper rate. Right now, not quite a month we started at Agbewori. The AKK project, we are moving their pipes. The fear of NNPC at the beginning was, will we really be able to do it? But I think right now they are happy with us, and they are bringing more, either from Lagos and more pipes are coming for Agbewori, and we are discussing on how to make it work. We are also moving container. But the snag there is that to move a container out of the port, it's not just the rail that will do there, because you have to have the terminal operators, the port authority, and custom to play a role, so that the turnaround of the rail service will meet up with the expectation of Nigeria.
Yeah, well, sir, we're still looking forward to, I mean, I wish we really had more time, because we also have, you know, the talk of connecting Apapa to the rail, and we'd like to know the update on that, just that we have run out of time. And then we also have, you mentioned the Itakpe corridor. There are complaints from there that the fare was 1,900, then it went up to 2,200, now it's about 3,000 just within 2 months. So, you know, there are so many things that the railway sector still has to take care of.
But they did not make sure at the time it was free. We ran that route for 1 year free.
All right, Mr. Fidelis, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Mr. Fidelis Ogira is the Managing Director of Nigerian Railway Corporation, and he told us about the unbundling plans of the federal government and some other developments in the sector. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Well, we move over to the markets now. Will has been standing by to tell us why the markets ended negative yesterday.
Good morning, Ini.
Yes,
See, I don't have control of the markets, but I'm sure that the market will unravel itself in the coming week. We just started a week, and though the equities market carried on last week's bearish performance, opening the week on a negative note as sell-offs in Lafarge, PZ Cussons, and Union Bank triggered the market's loss. We see that the benchmark index declined by 0.12% to close at 39,434.639 points there. The market cap lost about 25 billion naira off the value of listed equities at the close of yesterday's trading session. Total turnover was negative. The volume of trades fell by about 24.7% to 211.32 million units, and the value of stocks also traded depreciated to 2.02 billion naira, an exchange in over 3,900 deals. Performance across the sectors was mostly negative except for the insurance counter. All other key sectoral indexes closed the trading day in the red. However, the market sentiment was positive as we had 19 gainers to 10 losers. We move over to the fixed income market, where trading was bullish in the market there, and we see that the investors the yields continue to drop in that space, and we're wondering, we'll get answers to that. But to give us such answers, we have Jibola Aero Phillips, a head fixed income trader at FBN Quest Merchant Bank. Good morning, Ajibola.
Good morning, Will. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you too. Jibola, we are seeing that there's a complaint, especially in the Treasury bills, where the average yield stayed flat at 6.7%, and there are complaints that it was due to tight liquidity. I was wondering that with the inflow of the FAC allocation into the system, that liquidity would be a bit better?
We expect that liquidity will improve slightly, but you know, not anything over the top. There's about 157 billion maturing today, and from the OMO maturity, expect that there will be some sort of withdrawal, either via another OMO or maybe via the PMA auction that is scheduled to take place later this week. So market should get some respite in terms of liquidity, but you don't expect that will stay for too long, as there should be a continuous mop of liquidity in the market.
Well, did you just mention the OMO auction, because the CBN has been absent from that market, that segment? What's happening there? What's causing that?
CBN has not conducted an OMO auction in quite a bit, but we won 57 billion of OMO maturing this week. We expect that there might be an auction to take out that liquidity from the system. Again, also on Thursday, there's probably going to be another 121 billion from the NTB plus FAC allocation. That's a lot of liquidity in the market. So expect that there should be some withdrawal from the system. Some of these auctions.
Okay, now we're talking about liquidity and money coming into the system and into the country. The IMF historic 650 billion special drawing rights took effect yesterday. What do you think? What's your outlook for the fixed income space? What do you think is going to happen?
Badly needed liquidity for the FX space, especially.
Yes.
Expect that the federal government should be able to draw on that, and expect that should be able to help propel improve liquidity in the FX space because of, we badly need the liquidity right now. CBN has been doing quite a lot, especially in trying to meet demand, especially for the basables. But for the real sector, especially retail SMIs and the R&D market needs a bit of liquidity injection into that market, into that space. So we expect that there should be some little improvement, but expect that CBN again will continue to manage demand generally and keep the FX rate at the fairest minimum.
Okay, so that's for the FX space. Would that have any indirect impact on the fixed income market?
A bit. There should be a bit of again. The major thing in driving the fixed income market in terms of yields dropping has been the shift into by the federal government into foreign borrowing. So what that portends for the market is there's probably not going to be that much supply in terms of fixed income instruments because the federal government and the DMO are shifting the borrowing through foreign currency. So the little securities or the little bit of supply that we're getting from some of these auctions that are taking place, people are willing to invest at whatever level it is. So that's majorly what's causing the drop in the yields generally in that market space.
Okay, thank you so much, Ajibola, for your input. So that's Ajibola, head FX trading at FBN Quest Merchant Bank. So, Ini, back to you. That's what we have for you.
Thank you so much, Will. Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll head straight to London. Do stay with us. It's Business Morning on Channels Television. You're welcome back. We head straight to London. Now, Juliana is standing by. Hello, Juliana. Good morning.
Good.
Yeah, so Boots and Deliveroo have a new collaboration. A lot seems to be happening around Deliveroo now. Their pilot scheme starts today. What are they offering? And how is this going to boost Deliveroo even more?
Yeah, this is a really interesting story. Boots has got a massive presence here in the UK. It's the biggest pharmaceutical high street store. It's a US-based company, but its biggest presence is here. And they have announced today that they are going to team up with Deliveroo. It doesn't sound like a match made in heaven, but they're going to hope it is. They're piloting a scheme where they will allow customers to purchase about 400 products into their house within 20 minutes. Well, they say 20 minutes. I presume it will be less than an hour, and its main focus is going to be on new parents and people that are suffering, let's say, from a hangover, or if you're ill, you can't get into the office or you can't get down to the store. You can order kind of low-level medicines such as cough and cold medicines such as paracetamol and aspirin, or makeup and skincare. So this starts today. It will be in 14 stores across the country, so in London, Birmingham, Manchester and Nottingham, and they're hoping it will be a success. Now, Deliveroo, as you said, they've been in and out of the news, particularly since their flop on the London Stock Exchange in February, but they still have a massive stronghold on the market, and they are trying to diversify their offering. And on-demand grocery / kind of high street stores is still very new. It accounted for about 7% of their transactions in the first half of this year, but they're not alone. It is very competitive. There are lots of newbies coming in, and they've got the manpower to be able to deliver these products quickly. So we'll have to wait and see, but it could be very lucrative for both firms.
We wish them the best. Well, Chinese ride-hailing giant Didi has halted its plans to launch in the UK. Why? What's happened?
Well, yeah, no confirmation yet on whether Didi has halted the plans. This story was first reported in the Daily Telegraph. There is a statement here from Didi, which is the Chinese ride-hailing app, as you said. They have said, we continue to explore additional new markets, liaising with relevant stakeholders in each and being thoughtful about when to introduce our services. As soon as we have any more news on additional new markets, we look forward to sharing. So they didn't confirm, they didn't deny, but Didi have had lots of issues over the past couple of months, nationally, domestically. They've had issues with Chinese regulators. Chinese regulators asked online stores to no longer allow people to download their app because of a data sharing issue. This was only a couple of days after they floated on the London Stock or the New York Stock Exchange. And then, of course, at the moment, geopolitically, Britain has got a lot of issues with China, which stemmed from them removing Huawei from their 5G infrastructure. Chinese tech firms are being scrutinized a lot in Western Europe. So who knows what's going on with this? But as I said, Didi are yet to confirm whether or not they are pulling out of London.
All right, well, we'll get more updates from you at 1:30 during Business Incorporated. Thank you so much, Juliana, and talk to you later.
Thank you.
So let's head to the crypto space now. Ladi, the Bitcoin was feeling very good yesterday. Is it still in the bull run?
Well, we have a pullback for Bitcoin this morning, but major altcoins don't seem to care. Normally, when you see Bitcoin having a pullback, you see the whole market is in red, but you see Ethereum still holding up there above $3,000. Cardano still pushing through over $2, approaching that $3 mark. They're up 2%. So the market is kind of mixed this morning, just Bitcoin having that pullback. Then we have the market cap, $2.15 trillion, up down about 0.33%. 24-hour volume, $112.84 billion traded in the total crypto market. Bitcoin dominance, 43.40%. Price of Bitcoin this morning, 49,676. It got as high as 50,400 in the last trading session. 24-hour volume, $34.92 billion traded in Bitcoin. Ethereum also looking good this morning, 0.19%. 24-hour volume, $19.46 billion traded. Then I don't know if you remember my coin to watch last week. If you had bought this, when I gave this coin to watch, it was 20 cents. So right now it's up about 95%. It's trading at 40 cents right now. But this morning was trading at 35 cents. The ticker is Babi. It's a marketplace for NFTs and play-to-earn platform. So you need to watch out for our coin to watch segment. You could make some profit there. Top odds by market cap. You have BNB, $496. Getting close to $500 there. BNB, they've have a new regulator on their side at this point. It's up about 3.33%. Cardano, $2.88, 3% up. And we have Doge there. Doge didn't do well yesterday, and it's still at 31, stock at 31 cents. XRP also stock at $1.24. So let's bring in Rume Ofi now to bring us up to speed on what's happening in the market. Hello, Rume.
Hello, Larry. It's my pleasure. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning, Rume. Great to have you. So we see PayPal is looking to support crypto transactions in the UK. What's happening in that space?
PayPal has been really exceptional. One of those big online payments and money transfer platform. Earlier this year, we actually allowed transactions, buying, selling, and holding of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. So at some point again, they went into more like a payment way for those that are actually wanting to buy merchants or actually wants to buy stuff. They can use Bitcoin as a payment option. PayPal is actually big with about 403 million active users. So coming into the UK is actually an idea, although not the payment part, just the buying and selling of cryptocurrency and actually holding is going to create a new awareness. Before now in the UK, there's been this awareness from the authorities that a lot of persons are getting into cryptocurrency. So for the fact that PayPal is coming and they are adhering to guidelines, regulations, and all, it's going to further push adoption globally because PayPal is actually in the game of payment.
All right, so I see a payment solutions giant, Visa. The head is saying that crypto addresses will be as important as mailing addresses. What is he talking about?
Head of crypto, Visa, he actually speaking to that. Why? Because there's something that happened some days ago. What they actually bought, they purchased about $150,000 worth of infrastructure for NFTs. You know, so all of this technology is going to further make awareness of cryptocurrency. You know, NFTs are non-fungible tokens, so they want to invite that into their system where people can be able to get purchases of digital assets, digital art. So with all of that awareness, it's going to be like your address is going to be your mailing, it's more important than mailing address, right? Because it has to do with finance and the adoption of cryptocurrency and all of these digital assets has come to stay. So the awareness is moving, and the fact that they have come out to buy such a key into such technology as big as the, but all of these are what we call the whales. They are the institutional investors. So it only brings to mind that the individuals in the world should look at crypto. I'm not saying all go in without education. Education is very important so that they don't make mistakes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rumi, very quickly now, what hike do we see for Bitcoin this week? Quickly.
We've seen actually, you know, before now, it sounded like I'm the only bullish man around, but I think I've been vindicated. Bitcoin is fundamentally bullish. I'm looking at 54,000 at the end of the week, probably.
Okay. All right, Rumi, thank you so much. Great to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, so, Ini, I wish you listened to me last week. Bob Babby, the up about 95%. It's just 195 million tokens. So my price target for this one is something close to $1. So yeah, I'm still watching it.
I listened to you, just I didn't take any action.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually listened.
All right, that's it for the program this morning. Thank you so much for watching. Do remember to join us at 1:30. We'll have more stories from the world of business. That's at 1:30 Business Incorporated. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
And I'm Ladi Williams. Thank you for watching.